Good morning. We should be live. I'm seeing myself frozen on the screen right now. So is it working? Is this thing on? There's buffering on my playback screen. Now when I rewound, it looks like it's going okay. All right, and hello, Tony Wallow says AVDVR good. Good morning. All right, and there I finally have audio confirmation myself. I think this might be a easier, breezier, shorter session today. I'm kind of in the mood for that anywho. So let's go take a look at the Microsoft Word document and do some responses here. Oh, well, okay, I guess I should say, first piece is, today is Windows Daily 24, number 24, device drivers for major brand computers, and this is kind of a follow-up on Jose's issue, although I think he's probably already figured this one out. In responding to the questions from yesterday, wait a minute, did I have that title right? Yeah, today's 24th. Oh, by the way, I am interested to find out if that scrolling problem that we had a few days ago is better now. So here I'm scrolling up and down the Microsoft Word document. Now, when we really had the problem a couple days ago, I think it was on a PDF document, just because it had a whole lot more text on it. So anyway, I'm thinking it should be better now. From the chat room, let's see, Ken Stout Live. Oh, Ken said he would do a short live stream, and it began shortly after I ended yesterday, and showing how he found his files. Now, I thought that was kind of a useful thing for me to go demonstrate. Of course, not everyone was watching his show for that. So let's go here to, where do I want to go see this? Pictures, videos. All right, this will do. So apparently what he had done on the day that he had seen all that massive amount of photos, and he was recollecting what he saw up here on the title bar as being a particular drive letter and a particular folder name, and then he had seen a whole bunch of pictures right at that level. And what had happened is that he had done a search for star.star. And I realized, hey, that's kind of useful. Kind of like that, because what it would do is show you all of the files that are contained in all of the subfolders below the current folder that you're highlighting. And you're not going to know just at a glance which folder those individual files are in, but it is a way to just kind of browse through all of the files that are in the folders below the folder that you're currently searching on. If I understood, well, even if that isn't quite what he had done, that was my aha moment. I was like, oh, okay, that could be useful sometimes. So my note to myself in response, I wanted to show star.star in Explorer. And then from Jim, he was wondering if reflashing the BIOS would eliminate the infection. I think he probably put that in chat prior to the time when I showed that in that article where it said to reflash the BIOS. But let's Pineapple Road has some interesting comments on that. So instead of me commenting on that, I'm going to wait till I get to Pineapple Road stuff. And Dennis said that Adamant IT removes BIOS chips, doesn't actually reprogram the code. We might have a different definition of what reprogramming the code is. I put in this clip here, and I'll pause this. And this is just a clip from his video showing the devices that he uses for reprogramming BIOS chips. Each of these devices you can insert a BIOS chip into it, and then he opens up the code on screen, and I've seen him splice code from another BIOS chip and so on. And that's what I was referring to as reprogramming. But he's using a hot air gun to remove the BIOS chip from the motherboard and plugging it into these devices. And he has a couple other adapters that does it. So I'm going to, this was a clip that I've got here. So I'm going to paste that clip into chat in case somebody wants to go look at it. So I'm going to copy that hyperlink, come back here to the chat room and paste that in the chat room, and I'll also paste that into the description of this video after the live stream is finished. Okay, moving on. From Pineapple Road, although I'm not entirely sure, I would guess it would be possible for an infected UEFI to block you from reflashing it. My first reaction to that was no, but now I'm not so sure. As at least on my computer, when I had to update the UEFI, I had to go into the UEFI in order to update it. There's a few techniques you can use to flash a BIOS. You can make a bootable USB flash drive to flash the BIOS, and you boot your computer on that. Some computers, such as mine, has a button on it, I think, to flash the BIOS. And you can go into the UEFI BIOS and do a flash command from there. Or even like with major brand computers, Windows Update will update a BIOS. But let's get on a little bit further to that, because there's an interesting point coming up here. I suppose the only way around that would be if the motherboard has an emergency thing or button on it to reflash it when the firmware is corrupted, where you plug a USB stick into a certain port, and it is identified as a certain port for this purpose. That port could be used for other USB devices, but if you want to flash the BIOS, you have to use that port for this method to work. Into a certain port on the back and press a button on the back of the case, which not all, now the button might be on the motherboard rather than on the back of the case, which not all motherboards have. Mine does not have it. It's an Asus motherboard, which curiously has PS2 keyboard and mouse ports, not a combo port. And I don't think it's because it's an Asus. I think there are models of Asus motherboards that probably do have that feature. But it would be for higher-end motherboards that are intended perhaps for overclockers. I was going to say gamers, but yeah, there's kind of some overlap there. For anyone wondering, the computer I have is a custom-built one I got from a UK company back in 2018. And he's a little chagrined to hear it. And I did it again. I put the E and the F in UEFI in the wrong way around, and I corrected the mistake. So I think up here he originally got those backwards. Well, the thing that dawned on me as reading through this, I thought, well, if you make a bootable USB flash drive, the infected BIOS can't prevent you from updating it. But wait a minute. Before the USB flash drive can boot, the BIOS has to already be loaded. So if the BIOS was infected in such a way to prevent it from being updated, or perhaps to pass that infection to the update that you're doing from the USB thumb drive, that kind of makes sense. So could BIOS be infected in such a way that you can't fix it or replace it through normal methods? Well, that could be a case where Adamant IT's method, I'm sure that would work, because he demonstrates the capability of removing what is on the BIOS and replacing it with something else. So, interesting thought. I think if a person was concerned that they bought a motherboard from a source that could have infected it, that they need to do a little further research into this and find out what utility, what tool can you use to determine that that BIOS is infected. It might have to do with seeing the thumbprint of that infection, meaning does whatever the Windows element is to go out and query that command server, is that present? I didn't read deep enough into that to find out. I had nothing from email, but then a note to myself regarding Jose's driver. Jose had the problem with the video driver, and back here, I neglected to talk about his last sentence here yesterday. It says, now I need to get a suitable driver or find out how to prevent Windows from automatically reinstalling. So I did show and provide those links for preventing a specific driver from updating, but how to get the correct driver. And the implication to me, since Intel drivers were involved for his, I think it was a display driver, yeah, Intel graphics driver, is I believe he has a brand name computer. I think it was HP. I'm not going to try to find that now. But when dealing with HP computers, Dell computers, any major brand, I never use the Intel driver updater or any other specific driver updater. I always want to get, what was that? I don't know what noise that was. Okay. My office is possessed. But anyway, so I always use the manufacturer's drivers, never from other vendors. Now when I have a specific problem that I thought might be solved by a driver from a specific vendor, I have looked up the particular model of a hardware device that's in a major brand computer, go to that manufacturer's website and find they have no records of that model number device at all. Subsequent to discovering that, I learned that, okay, the reason for that is because when they make a piece of hardware, such as a graphics adapter or a network adapter or video adapter, for a major brand manufacturer, those often are not kept in their inventory of drivers because those are made specifically for that manufacturer. That manufacturer is going to handle all the driver distribution from there. Now, the manufacturer of the device, such as Intel or whatever the other parts are, brain feed right now, they might be manufacturing or providing the drivers to the major brand manufacturer for them to distribute as they see fit. That HP or Dell or Compaq, whoever it is, might then test that driver against their computers, and if they find that it's worthy of being released, then they release it. So here's a couple samples. This is a serial number and a SKU number from one of my clients' computers. And so you need to know on the major brand computer, how do you find that information? So you open a command prompt. Does not have to be run as administrator. And then WMIC BIOS get serial number. So this is a command that will pull information from BIOS. There are other things besides serial number that you can ask for, but serial number is the only one I've ever found a reason to go get it. Now I press enter. This computer is a custom built computer. There is no system serial number encoded into it. A serial number that's stored in BIOS is for the whole complete computer that you bought as a complete computer from a major manufacturer. So HP computers and Dell computers do give you a serial number here. I don't think I've tried it on other brand computers because HP and Dell is most of what I deal with. So that'll get you the serial number. In some cases, the serial number is not enough. Well, let's go ahead and demonstrate what happens. So I'm going to Control-C to copy that, and then bring up a new tab in a browser and a quick glance at chat. Nobody's trying to get my attention that the stream is messed up or anything like that. So I go to hp.com. Now, in some cases, you can just do a Google search for HP space serial number, and it might come up with what you need, but I just go through this way each time. So I'll go to support, I go to software and drivers, and that's going to ask for which kind of device we're working with. And this one I think was, actually I think it's this HP all-in-one, the curved screen that I have behind me. And then I'll paste it into the serial number field and submit. And this one saying that more than one result is associated with the serial number entered. Please provide a product number to complete the request. Where do you get the product number? The best place I've found to do that is MS Info. So I did Windows key R for the run line, MS Info 32, press enter, and then you're looking for system SKU. Now I'm doing this on my computer, so it doesn't have the HP system SKU, but I copied it into this Microsoft Word document. So I'll Control-C, copy it from there, go back to the website, paste that here, Mouse on the wrong screen. It's the right mouse. It was on the wrong screen. Find product number. And this gets us to the software and drivers for, oh no, this is for a laptop. Oh yes, and I'm going to make another comment about that curved screen in a moment. So here's software and drivers, and you can tell it what operating system that you have on that computer. So since Windows 11 is not in this list, that means that computer, they do not have drivers for Windows 11, which also implies that it is not qualified for Windows 11. And then select the OS version. You could be 32-bit, but they only have drivers for the 64-bit in this case. So why would they make me select these when there's only one choice each? Because that's just the system that they built for this. So I would guess other models, other product numbers might have more choices available. Then submit that. And then that gets us to the drivers. Now it has this button here to detect my drivers. If you do that, it's going to install a piece of software on the computer that you're using to browse the website. Well, that's not going to work in this case because I'm not doing it on the subject computer. That you can click here and access to all the drivers. In some cases, manuals are available here too, or they might be available on a prior screen. So you can get the drivers that you want from here. I also will occasionally use the detect my drivers and allow the website itself to just figure out what drivers are needed and install them. I don't always go here to manually install the drivers unless I'm looking for a specific driver, or maybe I want to find out, is there a BIOS driver that is available, but for some reason Windows Update has not been automatically updating that. Now I said I want to mention something else about this computer that's behind me. This it's either this one or the computer that I replaced this computer with. This is my client's all-in-one computer that has the power port problem. When I went to HP's website and put in the serial number for it, it said there's no drivers. It could not find any drivers for that device. It did identify what the device is, so the serial number I was providing was correct. What I interpreted that to mean, I think it's on the new computer most likely, what I interpreted that to mean is HP is saying all the drivers for this computer will come through Windows Update. You don't need any of the drivers outside of Windows Update. So that was a new thing that I just experienced recently. That's why I'm saying it must be with the new computer. Okay, so I think that'll wrap us up. I'm going to go take a look at chat, see if there's anything to catch up with or make comments to, and then we'll end this stream. So here I've already popped out the chat saying here, nothing here specifically. Yeah, Ken Stout noting my aha moment. So that looks good. If there's anything in there that I want to follow up on tomorrow, then that'll happen, well, tomorrow. What do we got here? 18 minutes, it says. So I hope that was useful. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.